Hello and welcome to the online classes for grade 11. My dear students, from your NCERT book of snapshots, today we will learn about a very interesting story. The title of the story is The Ghat of the Only World, and the author is Amitav Ghosh. Let's have a brief introduction about this story. Let's see what this story tells us and what is so special and interesting in it. Now, The Ghat of the All New World, written by Amitav Ghosh, is a promise fulfilled by a friend. Before cancer took its toll and consumed Shahid's life, he made the author promise him to write about him after he died. So you see, Shahid has a very serious problem, that is cancer, and even before he was very sick, before he fell ill, he had asked Amitav Ghosh, he made him take a promise that he will write about him. The lesson revolves around Shahid, what he liked and how he lived his life, as if it were a celebration even after he was diagnosed by the malignant disease. So in this story, we are going to see the kind of lifestyle Shahid lived. Even after he knew that he was sick, he had such a malignant disease, yet he tried to enjoy life. Okay, so let us quickly look at the summary of the story. See, the author's friend, Shahid. So our author, Amitav Ghosh, his friend's name is Shahid, who has a malignant tumor. Malignant means something that is very dangerous. Wants him to write about him after his death. This means Shahid wanted that after he dies, he wanted Amitav to write about him. This is because of his lack of ability to respond in a situation like this. Shahid knew him well, made him agree on this. Okay, so Shahid knew him very well and he made him promise that yes, you must write about me. The author tells us how he made notes of every encounter and telephone conversation with Shahid after that day to be able to write about him. Now the method that our author uses is, whenever he spoke to Shahid, he noted it down in his diary, what and what they discussed and the date, sometimes even the time. Also, when they spoke on the telephone, the conversation they had, Amitav often noted the important things that they discussed along with the date and the time. Only then he will be able to write about him. Now, the author's fascination with his friend dates back to a time when they were not friends. Amitav knew Shahid for his work in poetry. So Shahid himself is a poet. He writes a lot of poems. He also writes stories. It was only through a friend that they met but remained only acquaintances. Acquaintances is somebody that we just know simply like a friend. Okay, we don't have strong bonds, strong relationships, we don't know much, just simple hi hello kind of friends. A year later, when Shahid moved to Brooklyn, they got closer. It was after a sudden temporary lapse of memory that Shahid moved from Manhattan to live with his sister. Now you see, when a year later when Shahid moved to Brooklyn, that was when he often met Amitav. They often sat together, they had lunch, they had dinner together, and they got more closer. That means they got to know each other more better. Shahid and the author had a great deal in common. When we say great deal in common, this means a lot of similarities, things that are similar. Maybe our ideas, our hobbies, our likes, our dislikes. When we say they are the same, okay, or they are similar, we can use the phrase great deal in common. To quote a few, they had common love for Indian dishes like Rogan Josh and a shared indifference towards cricket. Despite knowing where his disease was going to take him, Shahid always surrounded himself with people which, according to him, gave him no time to be sad. So you see, despite knowing his disease, that is already knowing that this disease in the end is going to take his life, yet he kept himself busy with people and he never had the time to be sad. Shahid then talks about how the prevailing situations in Kashmir affected him and wrote a lot of poetry about Kashmir and thought that politics and religion should act separately. Now you see, we all know the situation in Kashmir, the fighting that goes on all through the year. So these situations affected him a lot and he wrote poetry about it. Also, Shahid had a view that politics should be separate, religion should be separate. We should not connect the two. He felt that people must stay united despite religion. Shahid's belief was that all the people should stay together as human beings. We should not separate ourselves based on religion. He gave the credit of this way of thinking to his upbringing, as he mentions how he wished to be in Kashmir while taking his last breath but could not due to his health. Upbringing. When we say upbringing, it means how we have been taught, the manners that we have been taught in our homes. So he said the way he grew up, he learned that we should not be separated by religion. Rather, we should all stay together first as human beings. And he really wanted to take his last breath in Kashmir, but he could not due to his health. His last breath in his sleep, leaving a void in the author's life. Now we have the word void, which means emptiness, okay, something that is empty. So he took his last breath, that is when he died. There was something that just went missing in our author's life. The author is left thinking how a bond of such short duration can have such a lasting impact. So you see, our author Amitav Ghosh is now thinking that such a relationship of such a less duration, you see, it's not for a very long time that he knew Shahid, it's just for a short period of time, but yet it's giving a lasting impact, means it is something that he doesn't forget. It is something that has been in his mind for a very long time. So this is basically the summary of our story, the Ghat of the All New World. And this is about the author Amitav Ghosh and his friend Shahid. Okay, thank you.